The mansion on Willow Creek Hill was always silent, not because it lacked people, but because it lacked laughter. The chandeliers glistened like frozen tears, and every ticking second from the grandfather clock echoed like a reminder of something broken that could never be fixed. Inside, behind a massive window overlooking the city, sat a boy named Ethan Carter, son of the billionaire industrialist Richard Carter, the man who had everything except peace. Ethan was 17, pale as porcelain, and fragile like a bird who had forgotten how to fly. He had never walked a single step in his life. Doctors called it congenital paralysis. But for Richard, it was a cruel punishment, a reminder that even the richest men couldn't buy miracles. Every day, he watched his only child confined to a wheelchair, his smile faint and his eyes full of longing. "Dad," Ethan once said softly as the evening sun painted his face gold, "what does it feel like, to run?" Richard's throat tightened. He wanted to say something comforting, but words had no power in the face of fate. "It feels like freedom, son," he whispered, brushing back the boy's hair. But Ethan didn't ask again. He just stared out the window, watching the people below walking, running, living. Despite his wealth, Richard was a lonely man. His wife had died during Ethan's birth, leaving behind a hole that nothing could fill. He built empires, signed million-dollar contracts, and bought everything he could, except happiness. He kept Ethan surrounded by caretakers, therapists, and tutors. But none of them could reach the boy's heart. Until the day she came. It was a gray morning in late spring when Richard's car stopped at a red light near the city slums. Through the tinted glass, Ethan's eyes caught sight of a little girl, barefoot, about 15, dancing in the rain for a few coins. Her dress was torn, her hair wild, but her laughter was bright, like sunlight breaking through clouds. Ethan pressed his face to the window, fascinated. The driver frowned. "Sir, she's one of the street kids. Should I?" "No," Richard interrupted. He was about to tell Ethan to look away, but his son's expression stopped him. It wasn't pity. It was wonder. When they returned home, Ethan couldn't stop talking about her. "Dad, she was dancing even though she had nothing. She looked happy." Richard sighed. "Happiness isn't something you can measure by what you have, Ethan." The boy smiled faintly. "Then maybe she's richer than us." 2 days later, Richard's assistant mentioned that the same girl often hung around the back gate of the Carter estate, begging for leftover food. On impulse, perhaps guilt, perhaps curiosity, Richard told security to let her in. And that was how Lila entered their lives. She was small, thin, with eyes the color of old honey and a voice that trembled between shyness and boldness. When Richard first saw her standing awkwardly in the grand marble hall, he almost sent her away. But Ethan's face lit up like dawn. "Hi," Ethan said, waving from his chair. "I saw you dancing in the rain." Lila blushed, her toes curling against the cold floor. "You saw that? I dance for coins sometimes. It helps me and my brother eat. Do you like dancing?" She nodded. "It makes me forget I'm hungry." Ethan laughed softly, a sound Richard hadn't heard in months. From that day, Lila began visiting every afternoon. She'd tell stories from the streets, funny, messy, alive, while Ethan listened, his eyes wide. She'd draw silly doodles on paper and stick them to his wheelchair. Sometimes she'd hum old tunes she remembered from her mother before she passed away. And slowly, something extraordinary began to happen. Ethan started smiling again. He laughed, argued, dreamed. He begged his father to let Lila stay longer, to teach him how to feel alive. Richard watched with mixed emotions. He didn't understand how a barefoot street girl could do what money, doctors, and professionals never could, bring joy to his son's broken world. One afternoon, Ethan asked Lila, "Do you ever dream of being rich?" Lila shook her head. "Rich people look tired. I just want a place where I can dance without being chased away." Ethan looked down at his useless legs. "I just want to stand, even once." There was silence. Then Lila knelt beside him, her hand over his. "Then we'll make it happen." Ethan blinked, confused. "What? You'll stand? Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow. But I'll help you believe you can." Richard, overhearing from the doorway, felt a strange ache in his chest. He didn't believe in miracles. But in that moment, hearing that girl's voice, something stirred, something that had been dead inside him for 17 years.